Bent mag wheels. What a pain. Have a look at this one here. This video here I want to talk about what can be done and what you should do about bent mag wheels. I want to state straight up that there are cheap copies or cheap wheels and there are good quality wheels, and there's a really big difference in how they will react when they hit a bump. All of them though the wheel is the black part on the picture there you see, and the grey part is the tyre. That's called the bead on the tyre. And as you can see, if that black bit, if the wheel gets bent or put out of shape, that connection with the bead is going to be affected. This here is actually a diagram talking about the right size tyre going on the right size rim, but you see that the bead has to sit properly on the rim in order to stay on. And of course, when it's going to come off is when you're in a cornering situation, and that bead, you can see it right there. If it gets under too much pressure, it can actually pop off and come out of the rim, and you'll get an instant deflate, and that's just a disaster. That rim there, again, massive bend. That's saying something about the quality of the wheel. My experience with this, I bought a set of genuine BMW M wheels off eBay, and this shot coming up right now shows you the rim. You can see there's just a little deviation in it. This wasn't mentioned in the ad. You can see it's just really small. I did end up taking these anyway. I paid less than what I intended to go and pay, but you can see that there's just a small deviation, and that damage, that had hit a pothole big enough to blow a hole in the wall of the tyre, but on the genuine BMW rim, that was all the deviation there was. You can see it's tiny in comparison to what the cheap rims have copped from hitting potholes. So I definitely think there's a massive big difference in the quality of rims as to how much they'll deform. Now that one, in my experience, I did take that tyre off and I just had a go myself. I just got a heat gun onto the rim and then a rubber hammer and did what I could to knock that back down. And I didn't move it much. I did move it a little bit, and again, I'm not saying that structurally the wheel was still okay after the heat gun or that you should try it. I'm just letting you know what I did, and I did get a little bit of it back, but boy, it was tough. I heated it up and then just absolutely belted the living daylights out of it just to try and get it back into shape that little bit. And mine was minor anyway. I did take it to a tyre place and they said even if as it was, they didn't like it, but they said the truth was that a tyre probably wouldn't come off with that little tiny deviation. The other ones though that I've shown you, all of them, the tyre would definitely come off and there would be a real problem. The last thing I want to look at here is also cracks. I've had that again. Must be me buying second-hand BMWs, but on my X5 I had the really big 305 tyres on the back of it, and I got a crack, not quite so big as this picture here, but it got a crack so that when I was getting a slow leak repeatedly, and then when I changed the tyres, I thought, okay, good, I finally got rid of that slow leak, made sure they changed the valve, but with a new valve and a new tyre, it kept on having the slow leak, and as it turned out, there was a crack in the rim, which had happened from pothole damage previously. Now again, that can be professionally repaired, and a lot of this damage can be professionally repaired. Cheaper rims can't because the metal wasn't great in the beginning, so when it bends you try and bring it back, but the professionals will be able to tell you about that. With a crack, what the tyre shop said to me, we can just put a smear of silicone onto it on the inside and see if that takes it up, but they were in a bit of a rush. It was the end of the day and I don't think they left it long enough. They put the silicone on, but then they put the tyre on and filled it up with air, and sure enough the slight leak was still there. So I sent that off to a mag repairer and had it re-welded and repaired, and it came back absolutely perfect, good as new. So the good news is there are specialist mag repairers that will straighten and repair mags. The bad news is here, I believe there's a massive difference between a factory and a good quality mag wheel and what there is with just the cheapies that are out there. You buy the cheap wheels, you hit something, you probably will find that they will deviate and bend like this because they're just simply not as strong. So there you go. How much damage? Very, very little that it's going to be okay, and if it's upsetting your wheel balance or got any sort of noticeable deviation, then what I've shown you with how the tyre bead fits, you need to know that it's not okay to keep that bent rim on there. Your car and your life are way too important. An instant deflation is going to destroy your car, it's going to destroy you. It's absolutely not worth the risk. So if there's anything other than just an absolute minimum bit of deviation, like what I've shown you on my own wheel, then I'd be saying you definitely need to look at getting the wheel professionally repaired or replaced.